part of the county. Public safety is my number one priority, whether it be fire, whether it be police, EMS, whatever the case might be. I think there's a lot of options, depending on budgeting, depending on the quorum court, depending on the council. All I can tell you, I don't care if the sheriff's department is getting paid, is not getting paid. Public safety, number one priority, and I would never let that slip. Whether Fountain Lake is paying a fee or is not paying a fee, that is not a focus to me. Public safety is my number one.
Somebody else got any questions?
Follow the mayor's question.
Yes, sir.
John Howard, Mr. Wayne, I'm the attorney who's with town Fountain Lake City Commission. One of the things that comes up with what the mayor said is that the council here will have to choose how it's going to handle the law enforcement when it goes to the city and second class. One of the options is mutual aid agreement for the sheriff to conduct investigations address. Another option would be, the council so chooses, to either appoint or elect town marshals. What would be the sheriff's office under each of you? The sheriff's office position on town marshal in the small.
I don't have a problem with town marshal, but I will say this, everyone that will be under, will have our commission, and it's good to have the town marshal, like the Mount Pine Police Chief, we give him a county commission, so he does come out and help us. And I would want that here also. So I would like to be in our department, be in on maybe helping y'all choose someone, make sure you get a good qualified person. If we were not, I would want to assess that person before we put them on our radio frequency and before we give them a county commission. One thing I really want to do is push hard for professionalism, the areas that it's lacking in our department now, and part of that's allowing other people to have commission that I'm not thrilled with. And there's some that do have our commission that doesn't need it. There's some that have it now that I'm not going to give it to until we assess them and maybe bring them up to the level they need to be at. Because it's just professionalism. And y'all would want that. You would want someone that wasn't professional. And as an experienced department, I would hope you would allow us to help you maybe choose that person.
Could a person serve as constable and the chief of police in Fountain Lake?
I don't know that. I know they can't have two county positions. The constable is a county position, even though it's not paid. So he can't be a reserve deputy or a full-time officer in the sheriff's department. I really don't know. I'm going to tell you, because I flat don't know whether he can be another complete separate agency or not.
We had a constable, Mr. House, BJ House.
Right.
He was one of the marshals before.
Right.
So he worked here with us.
Something that we seriously need to look into before you do that.
Yeah, like I said, we had the police force before, and the board done away with it. But let's start
Either
going
we have to have it
again.
or address that question.
Yes, sir. Teamwork. Teamwork, whether it be a city marshal, a constable, a city police officer, is a team effort in Garland County. We all live in Garland County. Sheriff's office has some tremendous resources that Fountain Lake can utilize, regardless of whether it's a marshal. As sheriff, I would welcome a marshal, a constable, any other law enforcement personnel to come aboard and participating in our training. We've got to make sure we're all on the same page. We've got to make sure we're offering professional law enforcement services to the county. As a sheriff, I serve all the people. And I have a responsibility to make sure the level of enforcement, I don't care if it's in the city of Hot Springs, the city of Mountain Pine, the city of Fountain Lake, I have a responsibility as a sheriff to make sure that we're providing the most professional law enforcement services that we possibly can. Once again, safety is my goal.
Think about it, you can keep saying, do this, do that. You guys don't have to be the ones that choose. You choose who you think is best. All right, and then we look at it, if you, for instance, or, review look at it, and see if, you know, it may be, but you definitely gotta have somebody, you know, mentality, or capability, not let it go ahead and run up, you know, you just gotta, professionalism is all of it. Depends on what you're gonna pay them, what you're gonna get. You know, it'd be great to have, retired officers live out this way. I don't know if they have one, but it would be interesting.
I'd like to add one thing. I thought, Cam, you talking about the constable, talking about John.
Yes.
You had an excellent constable in this area. He was a Houston City police officer for 7 years. You survived Houston on the streets of Houston for 7 years. As we always say, you've been there and done that. He knows his stuff. I work with him a lot. He helps us a tremendous amount, all over the county, actually. But that could possibly be that you don't actually hire him, but you contract him as constable for so many hours a week, whatever your money allows. That may be something, and then he is still, and you know John, if he's out, he's going to answer a call. And it costs him money out of his pocket because they don't get a dime in the county.
Yeah.
But that'd be something the attorney could look into and see if it can be legal to contract to him and him not be an employee. Or is it better off for him to be an employee? Again, that's, but John, I definitely have no problem with it because he's good.
You have to look into, commission standards also, rules, they go by like that. That's that, look at it and see,
You know, like I said, we had a few marshals before and all that, we went to all the law, looking for standards.
commission on law enforcement standards and training.
And I would encourage you to use the sheriff's office as a resource, as an
Yeah.
information resource, as a training resource. Once again, on Garland County.
We wouldn't have, we don't have to hire one, but we can still just contract with you guys to come here, right?
Yeah, it was the sheriff's office.
So that's right, we got two options, we don't have to hire a marshal, we can negotiate with you
Now-
guys.
There's a number of options, I mean, depending on how you sit down and work it out, you can have somebody part-time, and that's the other half, or, you know, just depends on how the budget is for y'all to work it out and do that. It may be cheaper, you know, and I'll tell you flat out, Fred said, not charged at all. Phone calls I've got is just some complaint that it wasn't charged. You know, so that's something that you're gonna have to appease, that was from the people out here also. So you're gonna have to appease your people also.
They were complaining because we weren't being charged anything?
Yeah. The money that you was getting,
I know what they're talking about, the turnback money that was going to the sheriff's department, we get for the town now, we're not using it for law enforcement. I got it.
Mr. Mayor, I've got a question.
Yeah.
All three of them.
Go ahead.
And I know there's no way that, just by chance you can catch them, that somebody throwing out a sack of trash at 2 o'clock in the morning. But one of the things that I really can't stand is to see how the trash is thrown around in the county.
amen.
Just wondered what they thought about it. Like I said, it's hard to catch somebody when they're doing it. A lot of illegal dumping, trash thrown out. What they thought
I'd like to answer that. That's definitely a big thing on me because, of course, you know me, I'm a cowboy trail rider. Garland County is known as the dirtiest county in the state. From the Trail Riders Association. They don't even want to ride here because of it. Not just the size of our roads, but our trails. It is known as the dirtiest county in the state. And I hate that. I mean, this is my county. I love it. I've been here all my life. That's where my heart is. I believe that we can work again with the public, take our neighborhoods back, and work with people and encourage people to get license plate numbers. I've had people call in and say, "Did you give me a license plate number?" Well, no, and said, "We out, okay, I'll send it off, should I take a report, or we'll take it over the phone and get this started." Well, I don't be involved. We have to get people involved. And the sheriff's department has to start encouraging this. We got to go to town hall meetings, we've got to go to schools, we've got to go to PTA meetings. I think they don't call PTA anymore. So my age. But we've got to get involved in these and get the public involved so we can take reports and charge these people. I'll tell you one thing that worked out from a good citizen, Mark Reed, retired Martin Top Forestry Commission, at the sheriff's office in another county. A woman driving down the road saw me and throw a cigarette out. A cigarette butt is littering. And I've charged him for it. He threw a lit cigarette out. She happened to call the sheriff's office and turn that plate in. It started a fire, it burned the woods, burned the house, and killed a man. And because of her turning that license plate in, they were able to convict that man for homicide. Negligent homicide. And so that's what we can get people encouraged. Get our students involved. And it also teaches them not to throw out. And my idea, talk with the judges, because let's go through sentencing. If we catch someone for littering, instead of a fine, they have to go out and wear an orange vest that says court-ordered public service. Not just in their plain clothes out here walking beside the road, they look like a volunteer. Let the public know it's court-ordered, so when you see your neighbor, you got caught littering. And you assign them a certain section of the road that they have to keep clean for a month. Because they're sentenced. There's a lot of things besides the dollars that we can work for sentencing to curtail some of this stuff. But yes, it's definitely on my heart and living. I hate it.
This goes to the core of my philosophy as sheriff, and it's community-oriented policing. Put real simple, it's problem solving. And we can go to the far end of the scale, and let's say that's litter. Addressing it on a proactive manner, addressing it in a way that will reduce, we're never going to eliminate it, but reduce the problem. Getting the courts involved, getting the neighborhoods involved, doing some investigation into some of the major littering things. Is there identifiable material in there where we can track somebody down? Did someone get a license plate number? Problem solving, so it's just not continually reoccurring. On the other side of the coin, when it comes to problem solving, we had a series of house invasions a few years ago. And I can think off the top of my head of at least a dozen scenarios where they were doing this. And it was in the middle of the night. These thugs were breaking into houses and they were holding the people inside the houses hostage. A lot of women were wearing big diamond rings. And they would say, I want your jewelry. And the lady will say, I can't get it off. They had a big pair of wire snippers. They said, that is not a problem. The woman got the ring off pretty quick. The way we arrested all those people and put a stop to it, we were looking at a permanent solution. We were solving problems. We set up surveillance throughout the area. So we got the neighborhood watch involved. And we made sure those people got maximum sentences. And they're still in jail today. So I think everything we do, we need to look at long term. We need to look at problem solving.
You go out there and you can see somebody throwing stuff down, or you can get the litter crew out there, and they can pick up the road one day and the next day it's right back the way it was. But it has to be somebody to get involved, that sees these people do it, and somebody has to step forward. Yeah, you get a bag of trash dumped out there and you stop and pick it up, and there's a name in there, or an address, and then you can track them back. And a lot of times it's somebody that they have hired to pick up their trash and they're throwing it out. But you can work around where you get back to where you did it. And the thing, we got to also talk to our deputies about not throwing crap out of the car too. Don't get mad at them too. I got they've done it, and we've got calls on it.
Especially cigarettes.
Yeah, they're not even supposed to be smoking in the car, but that's occurring too, and they're not wearing seatbelts, and that, you gotta start at home too. You gotta clean up your house before you start somewhere else.
Who else got questions? Many of the sheriffs in Arkansas consider Act 746 to allow open carry. What are y'all viewing that action?
Well,
What are you deputies in doing business right now?
first off, let's have 100% for concealed carry. I'm against open carry for two major reasons. I know the one for it says that it's not a danger. I believe it is a danger. If you have a gun in an open holster, especially someone that John doesn't mind me picking on him.
Holster is in.
Right, holster's in. Okay, but if John carries a gun every day, like law enforcement does, then it's a habit. We constantly touch that gun that's on our body. We know it's there. Every few seconds we're touching where that gun is. But you take someone that carries, let's say John just carries once in a while. He may or may not even realize that gun is there. There you go. Okay. But if that holster's in the open and he's not used to carrying it, someone slips up and takes that gun out, he may not know it for 2 hours. But he's not used to checking it. That's a danger there. And another thing, if you're in Mena, Glenwood, Mount Ida, open carry is probably not a big deal. Because you know 9/10 of people walks down the street. But downtown Hot Springs, it's alarming. For someone to walk down the street carrying a gun in the open, it's alarming. Even officers has a badge next to it. They don't see that badge in time. He's got a gun, he's got a gun. And it's hard to keep one covered all the time. I understand that. But it's alarming to see a gun out in the open, especially in the community we live in. And that's the biggest reason I'm against the open carry. I'm hoping our legislature gets smart enough that come January, that they straighten this out and make this law very clear to where now they say what's up to each prosecutor, where they want to prosecute it or not. Well, that doesn't need to be. It needs to be black and white. And I'm hoping that they get that done.
Well, I'll step in now. I'm a state certified concealed handgun instructor. And I try to tell people concealed means concealed. And somebody asked me this question about that, and we got I don't have it with me, we got a 7-page opinion from the Attorney General on why, what allowed, what the difference was concealed and not concealed. So right now, their opinion is it's illegal. Open carry is illegal. So as far as they have that, I'm going to have to go with what the law says is right and wrong. I'll step a little bit further because somebody asked, what if you take your jacket off in a restaurant and you got your gun? Well, you don't have to dress good. It's a thing. But to tell you what, I've seen at the sheriff's office over the years, they have gone from unclothed people wearing jackets and stuff out, investigators, to where they're just wearing the guns and the badge on there. They've got to stop. Okay, if you can't go out and do it, why are they doing it? It still alarms people if they turn around and they see somebody, like Fred just said, they see that gun, but they don't see the badge. The thing needs to be covered. And, that's the only change that's going to be done. So, Mike.
Every law we have, local level, state level, federal level, is based upon the Constitution at its core. That's the Arkansas Constitution. And I'll operate my whole administration to be in compliance with the constitutions of Arkansas and the U.S. Right now, the law is clear to me. It states, unless you have criminal intent, thank you. Unless you have criminal intent, the law does not prohibit you from carrying a weapon. I know there's a lot of controversy with the Attorney General, with various law enforcement agencies. It's got to be clarified, and I'll work hard to make sure it is. Right now, I would not feel comfortable arresting someone for carrying a prohibited weapon that had no criminal intent. The law is too confusing right now.
Other questions?
What's the, your neighbors shooting? What's the footage on their shooting? I
not, they have to have a firm bullet stopping backside.
They should be the bank back there, that bank and all that tall.
I've got them shooting around my house across the road over there, and they don't have much of anything when they're shooting into it. And sheriff's office ain't done nothing about it either.
Shoot all hours of the evening, all hours of the night.
Well, if they're doing it at night, there should be something to be done, but,
So they shoot at all hours of the night.
I'll say this, if it continues after January 1st, and the officer comes out there not satisfied, you come to my office or
They
call
won't
me,
do nothing quick.
I will.
Fred, I have lived there for 47 years. I call the county,
I know
and their
that.
people get away pretty much first. This lady next door shot at my neighbor and videoed it and showed it to the county. The county did nothing.
I wasn't running. I don't know what to say.
Great point, which brings me to an issue. It is time to change the step of the sheriff's department. There are different ways, different means to resolve your particular issue. If they're shooting their weapon in a safe manner, they're going to be in full compliance with the law, in my determination. If they're firing in an unsafe manner, it's coming on your property, that is endangering you, your property, your pets, your animals, whatever the case is, totally different situation, clear-cut violation. If they're shooting during nighttime hours, totally different situation. They're disturbing the peace, that's disorderly conduct. The sheriff's office has the authority to make an arrest in those
They won't do
situations.
nothing with that.
What I'm telling you, it's time to change the step of the sheriff's department.
They have dogs, and they have come over 2 or 3 times this week on his hind legs, barking and showing his teeth and growling, and coming at me.
That's what the rules are doing.
That's
Well,
right.
I got my little gun, and I shot over it. I don't want to shoot the dog, it's not the dog's fault, it's the people that are raising them and making them mean.
I can't change the past, but I sure can learn.
Well, this is just this last week, and I called the law, and the county told me he was gonna go over there and give them a citation, and the animal control guy went with him. They did nothing, they didn't even, I don't think even went over there, because the real animal control guy, black or whatever, come over, and he says, what do you want me to do? And I said, what do you mean? He said, you want me to go talk to him or give him a citation? I said, well, the county come out and said they went over and was gonna give him a citation, and would call me and let me know when I had to go to court. And I said, well, I put up with it for 40-some years, and I'm ready to go.
Let me follow up if I can. One of my philosophies also is an open door policy. I want to be accessible to the public. I want to be accessible to the county residents. And I can also promise you that the deputies that work for me will be respectful. They'll be responsive. They'll be professional. Once again, they'll treat you with respect. If you don't feel like you're getting the respect you deserve, as your sheriff, I want to see you down in my office. I want a phone call. I will be available.
I mean, I just said, I put up with it for 40-something years.
Don't be rude.
They treat my land like it's their land. I'm the one that work and pay for it, and I'm the one that pays the taxes, they don't.
I agree. If that dog is coming at you bearing teeth, and that dog is in
They had
here.
5 at one time. They circled me every time I went out. They circled me.
That's a serious matter. That's a very serious
How
matter.
many bullets do you have in your little gun? Practice with that little gun, as he said, you turn the bullets the other way. If that dog is on your property or out on public property after you, you need to protect
That's
yourself.
what they tell me it's a pit bull.
Well, you need to protect yourself.
But they told me, I called one, and I called their doctor, because they tore up my garden, they done everything. They do everything. I called them, but I'm not supposed to do anything.
Wrong.
And they told me if I killed the dog, they took me, I would put it in jail.
Wrong.
Well, and then she told me, she said, why don't you put your garden in the front yard? I said, there's it. Why don't you build a fence around your house and put your dogs in there? Oh, I simply can't do that.
Well, this is something that we're not doing now. Our deputies are coming out to take a report from you and they leave. I've always tried, some of y'all know me, and I've talked to you, I try to help you solve a problem, solve a solution. But that's what it's all about. That's called public service. Just take a report and leave it, it's just a little bit of the service. Solving your problem is the service.
The county,
That's what we've got to change. We've got to do, we've got to start from the top and go down. We have to show example.
the county is showing favoritism to them. My neighbor is 70-something, I'm 70-something. We're the one that they come in and they call him to jail. He does nothing. He's too old. We can't even get him down. These people tell lies and they send them off.
Okay. Again, like I said, I'll go after January 1st, you call me.
Or call me.
I will.
Either way, call me, I'm a good shot.
Any other questions? Y'all, they're here now, you want to talk to them, ask them.
I have another question for you. Do any of you have any suggestions for improvements to courthouse security? There was another incident this week
Yes, sir.
that was a little alarming for people that work there and the public. And,
I was there kind of in charge of it. I was in the department, in the office when it happened. I went out there and I'll tell you straight up, as I talked to Judge Williams about it, we've got one bailiff in that department that's worthy of having the Garland County Sheriff's Commission. The rest of it needs to be either gone or retrained. Because the escapes they talked about, some of my opponents talked about in the Republican primary, they forgot to tell you that most of these escapes were by circuit court bailiffs. But it appeared to be Garland County Sheriff's Office because Larry Sanders, Sheriff Sanders, had the heart to allow them to wear our uniform. They are hired by the courthouse. They are hired by the judges. Each judge hires their own bailiffs. One, Judge Cook, just fired, and he was hired by one of the other judges as a part-time with the main courthouse. I'm not going to have that. If they're going to have it, and I can't force them to go through our assessment, but I'm going to sit down with all the judges and talk to them and say, if you want them to have a county commission, here's what they're going to go through. Because they're going to be professional, but they're not going to carry Garland County badge, Garland County card, not if I'm sheriff. It's not going to happen. We did a few of our own deputies that are going to be a little surprised too. They're going to go through some more training and stuff. But yes, there's a lot we can do, and if we can get the judges on board with us and push it, Sheriff Sanders just hasn't pushed it. But if we can push it, then we will get them highly trained and teach them what security is. For example, we went to take this prisoner out after the jury came back with the problem started after the guilty verdict. And then when they went after the sentencing, that's when we was expecting big problems. Well, we fooled, we took him out a different door. The court bailiff said, you gonna go to jury? I said, no, he's my prisoner now. I'm taking charge. And he went to handcuff me in front. I said, behind his back. I'm taking control. We get on the elevator, and I put him in the corner. I'm here. I'm left-handed, so my gun's here. This particular bailiff gets on and turns his gun next to him like that. I just called the bailiff and spun him. Put your gun away. We had to talk later. Because I can't let it happen. You're going to get someone killed. And that stuff's not going to happen. But I am going to sit down with all the judges and say, let us train your bailiffs. So
I have a
yes.
solution. I have a workable solution. And I've given it a lot of thought. As a sheriff, I'm responsible for everything happens within the sheriff's department. Whether it be the detention center, patrol, CID, prisoner security, I am responsible. When a prisoner is turned over to the sheriff's department, whether it's the most minor offense or whether it's the most serious offense, that prisoner is the responsibility of the sheriff until he is released from custody. In court cases, we need to try to get as much video going through the court system as we can, where you can actually have a hearing via video, where the prisoner never leaves security at the detention center. But when there's cases they do have to leave, as sheriff, I still want responsibility, and I want my people, I want my deputies maintaining the security and custody of that prisoner at all times. You will never hear me say, That wasn't my responsibility. I'm sorry. I turned him over to somebody else. They let him go. I will not turn the responsibility over to anybody else as long as I'm sheriff, until that person is legally released.
Good. Back when I was training officer, we trained the bailiff. They was in part of it, that was the deal. I was there when the judges decided they wanted to hire their own bailiffs. They came over and we done standard F4 form, and they were released. They done the F1 form, they knew that they were working for the judge. All right. Now, they're not allowed to train those. It's the sheriff's office. That was changed. They're not allowed, they have to go, they tell me they have to go to Little Rock or Fort Smith, somewhere to get any kind of training. Now, there lies a problem. We're talking about training them, and something's got to be changed. And, that's where all of us are talking about, sheriff's offices and changes need to be made. Ain't nobody denying that. If you leave a plane on cruise control long enough, it's going to crash. And that's what's happening. Everything's just been riding the rail. And there's got to be some changes. The sheriff that I've said this, the sheriff that you elect better be able to make some tough decisions and be really willing to make some of your friends mad. It's going to have to happen that way. If not, you're going to be right back in the same case with the dogs coming over the yard. You got to jerk knock somebody.
Bailiffs serve a purpose, and the courts need to keep their bailiffs, but securing prisoners does not need to be one of their responsibilities. That falls upon the sheriff.
Well, the problem with the deal, Mike, is dollars, guys. Back to dollars. That's why they have the circuit court bailiffs. The sheriff's office doesn't have the dollars to keep a man in the courtroom all the time. District court are Garland County deputies. That is the sheriff's office responsibility. Circuit court bailiffs are the circuit courts. We do have deputies working security at the door with a metal detector. That is the security of the courthouse. That part is, and that's why when that happened the other day, we took it over because it was security of the courthouse. And I wasn't worried if they were bailiffs or what. We took it over. We brought our CID officers, our detention officers, and myself and some patrol officers. Matter of fact, Sergeant House right there and Corporal Keller first blocked off the parking lot, and we got other officers out there to help us. And he was one where we took the prisoner out of the back door, surprised the prisoner, everyone. Took him out the back door in the unit. Matter of fact, right there's a press man that was waiting for him to come out the door with the film. And when I walked up to him, his face was just blank because he knew I'd be with the prisoner. And he goes, "Where is he?" I said, "He's in jail." Did we not, Brian?
It's true.
We told him, but it was safe. It was secure. We had the whole parking lot blocked off, and we did it like that. Nothing went over the air. When we was ready to move him, I said 142, 106, time. And everyone asked me later, what's time? I said, just time. Look at your watch, it's time.
That's ridiculous that we put ourselves in this situation to start out with. A little forethought, a little planning, we can avoid this. And I'm not going to accept, hey, that's dollars, we're not going to do it. So yeah, we're going to have prisoners escaping here, prisoners escaping there. Yeah, we did take the guy back into custody pretty quick. But we know that's not always the way it works. It's a safety issue.
Close enough. No, you didn't. You went close to the city.
We're going to maintain the security. We're
Even
going
you
to
were
avoid those
close.
problems.
He was still standing in front of the judge of the bench.
Any other questions?
No, Mike didn't understand. He didn't try to escape. We took him out a different way to keep the family. This was a murder trial where a man killed his cousin. And so the whole thing was family. When they broke for lunch, they went out in the parking lot and the family got to arguing, family argument. That's what all the disturbance was. Right, it was the threat of a gun. And it was all family against family. So you really didn't know who was who. I asked the judge to give us a court order to clear everyone out of the courtroom except the witnesses. Then that way we made everyone leave the parking lot, not even set in their cars. Totally, we checked all the cars and they don't leave the parking lot. And then we took him out a different place so that another family could be out there and they couldn't call someone to be set up somewhere. It was strictly a security thing for the inmate and everyone involved. We had the family stay in the courtroom, the jury left. After the jury was escorted out by officers, then we took the inmate out and we just took him completely different way. His lawyer didn't even know how to do it.
I understand. It still does not change my point. the sheriff's department is responsible for maintaining the order within the court system. Now, we have had, perhaps not in that particular situation, we have had multiple escapes over the years. The sheriff's got to maintain order and control.
But we talking about that, they're being paid to the judge's office by the county, right?
It's my understanding it's state money that goes to the county and the county pays the personnel. They're paid by they're not under
Either way, why not get a certified deputy and instead of take it back away from the judges like they're, the reason that all came about was because the judge didn't like that the sheriff's office was sending over there as a bait. And they wanted their own specific person over there every time, and that's the reason that changed.
But actually, state law allows the circuit judges to have their own.
Yeah, but that was brought on by the judges because they couldn't work with the sheriff's office. I'm saying we've got a team effort going on. The bailiffs have got to function, the sheriff's department has to function, and we need to work together.
We just train them correctly. We'll be solid.
I have another question. A murder case a few years ago that happened, don't know whether it happened inside the village or outside the village, but her car was found burned outside the village. She was a dispatcher. I'm sure y'all are familiar with that.
Very much so.
And the village was put in control of that investigation for a long time. It was Foster's investigation from the very beginning, and they found her body for a long time. Would you put a private entity like that in charge of the investigation, the sheriff, or would you take over the investigation?
That has already been changed due to that case and some others, some lawsuits that were filed. Any serious case now, they are commissioned officers to Garland County Sheriff's Department and Saline County Sheriff's Department. They have to have commission, though they do not hold their own commission, cannot hold their own commission by law. But now, all serious cases that have a level they go by has to be investigated by the Sheriff's Department itself. And they will assist us, obviously. But there's not anything wrong with their department. It was wrong with the chief they had at the time and the officer that did it. They now have a current chief, Gary Adams, that I like. This guy is very approachable, very good. We've worked several things together. He is really trying. And he really wants to do better for the village. He wants to increase his officers. That particular officer, he has problems with an officer also. That's his business. He'll work on that. But as sheriff, the officers there and the officers in Diamond Head will meet a certain level. I'm not worried about them in the village meeting that level because they do have the training techniques and stuff to do that. Diamond Head, Chief Tyner down there, Joel Tyner, is trying really, really hard. He wants to get all the training he can get. He's a good guy. I've been with him on some serious situations. Very serious. We were real close to a bad shootout. And he did well. That's where he knew a lot, but he has a lot of common sense. And he wants his people upgraded too. And he asked me, will you help train my people? I said, if they're going to carry my commission, I promise you I will help train them. Because they will be professional. They will not have a Garland County commission with my name on it. But that situation has been actually relieved by a court ruling.
That's my, talking about the training, professionalism, their responsibility to put out. This, not my misunderstanding that the village sits inside Garland County. Right? Garland County, to me, should have been the lead investigation on that. Any case, any crime that happens there, they can be a subsidiary, they can watch, they can observe or whatever. That's my case. It's in my county. It's in the city, it's signed over to them. They got competent people in there to work the city. If it's in the county, we're going to do it.
I had a conversation with the chief of the village a couple months ago, and the very issue came up. And he was not shy about approaching me and saying, we don't have the training, we don't have the resources to handle a homicide effectively. I will be asking for your help. 100%, the sheriff's office does have the resources, it does have the training. That's something I will continually upgrade, continually maintain, that we have the best trained investigators in Arkansas. The key to it is having worked these details out in advance. If there was a homicide tonight in the village, everybody would know. The village police would know, the sheriff's department would know, and we approach it from that manner. The problem is not knowing how things are handled. But Chief's been very clear that he wants the sheriff's office investigating major crimes.
Fort Ridley took care of that. They have to now statewide. Not just here in Garvin County, but like Bella Vista and all the others. Statewide, they took care of that.
What other questions you got? No more?
Thank you for having me.
So like I say, well, I appreciate y'all coming, I appreciate this crowd.